we have a living legend.
Get ready.
Entertainment.
Thank you for taking us to the...
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies and toddlers, the future people. It's your favorite duo back on your favorite show, HD. It's not high definition, even though you're watching us in high definition. It is Hero's Diary, and my name is D1. And I'm here with me today, one and only Ket right
Come on now.
What's good, brother?
Yes, man. Welcome. Thanks a lot, my brother. You know how we do it. It's HD. All right, you said it all. It's not high definition. It's Hero's Diary, the show that celebrates black success. You know, showing you how some correct boys and girls have gone out there and conquered and done stuff, regardless of their background, regardless of everything, how they've gone on to succeed, so that you can also learn how to do that. Younger people can see how people like them have conquered, have achieved stuff, and then learn the process, hear from the horse's mouth. That is why we're doing it here. Yeah. So my brother, I did die your Bashorun Balogun. Oh shit. Bad guy. Baddest guy.
And today on this episode, we have a living legend. Not a lot of people, in your lifetime, if you happen to meet a living legend, you must pay homage. When the living legend came in, we had to dobale. If you don't know what dobale means, Google it. Dobale. O-B-A-L-E.
Dobale.
Okay. We have to dobale. We have one and only, the original flag bearer of this thing called Afrobeats from day one, from time.
Not be just even Afrobeats, not be just the old African culture, you know.
Listen, if you go 20 years back, this name was there, put on so many people that you know today. Like we had a last guest that said, listen, this is my hero, and ask him this question. If you watched the last episode, you probably know what I'm talking about. We're talking about one and only, drum roll please, DJ Abass. Hey, come on, brother. Come on, man.
Even I clap for myself.
Guy.
I clap for myself. Sadly, it won't work today or tonight.
That's what it is. Bros,
thank you so much.
What's happening, man?
Awesome intro.
Really
Kenny and D1.
Hey.
And I don't want me. Thank you so much, and also thanks for doing this.
Oh, amazing.
It's if you don't tell your story, nobody will tell it. It's even tell it, even if you get it wrong, tell it, so that they won't come and tell us that Mongo Park discovered River Niger. River Niger that has been flowing there.
But the bomb will go back.
But it's the narrative. So if you don't control the narrative, so this is controlling the narrative. Wow. So thanks, guys, for doing this, and also thanks for deeming me worthy enough to be a guest on this show.
Bros, thank you deeming us worthy enough to turn up.
To turn up. Then deport me.
Out of all, for us, the massive putting us on. Out of all the engagements you could have been tonight, you decided to come down to Docklands. We're trying to turn Docklands.
I came down from an engagement, actually.
For an engagement? Wow. We respect that.
Yes.
And you inspired us from day one. When D1, the original D1, can I say right here? We're right here.
Right here.
DJ Abass has been putting the map of Nigeria on the whole wide world. Now tell us, what's your journey? Who's DJ Abass for people that are like, I'm gonna be, what are they talking about? What are they shouting about? Especially the young ones, our kids who are watching us now saying, who's DJ Abass? Daddy, who's DJ Abass? Tell them.
Who you be?
DJ Abass,
who you be?
Okay.
Who are you? Go on, bro.
DJ Abass is a proud Nigerian, and the prefix DJ is something, as I grew in my career, I tried to shift, as some people try to redefine themselves. You have people like Puff Daddy, who started out as Puff Daddy,
PGD,
I think it's now Mr. Love now, But
Sean Combs.
I just realized that it's a tag I couldn't shift.
Shout out Puffy, by the way.
Yes, so in knowing who I am, my entry into entertainment was with DJing. Obviously, like most people of our generation, was born here, returned to Nigeria at a point, and then came back in 1991. And
How many of you were born?
I'm sorry, you were born in 1991.
No, but you see, and it's important you try and visualize what 1991 was 31 years ago. So to always try to visualize what the UK was like for Nigerians in 1991. Wow. And there were Nigerians here before then.
Yeah.
You know, where Nigeria is a British colony. So we've always had that relationship with the UK. Right. But in 1991, you know, left Nigeria, was a practicing journalist with The Guardian. I wrote politics, sports, and entertainment for The Guardian, which is the leading newspaper in Nigeria.
Still is.
But the entertainment, so I was employed, because I did my youth service in 89, but sometime around 1987, there was you don't tell where ASU strike. ASU has been striking for a long time.
Oh my God.
So there was a student
ASU strike.
So there was a strike in Nigeria then.
Wow.
And I was at Ondo. 87. I was at Ondo State University.
By the way, ASU is Nigeria's university lecturers.
Exactly.
University lecturers,
so at the time there was another strike then, my second year in university, and I was in university in Ado Ekiti, which is like 400 kilometers away from Lagos. I lived in Lagos. So I had to come back to Lagos. And at the time when these strikes happened, the current one has been on for 9 months. The current one has been on for 9 months. University students in federal universities in Nigeria have not been to school for 9 months.
Wow.
So when it happens, and historically, every now and then you get this kind of long breaks. There was one like that, and we had to come home, and I was just at home doing nothing, absolutely nothing. Back then, there was an evening newspaper. We're familiar with evening newspapers in Lagos then. There was the Evening Times, and there was the Guardian Express. I was a huge fan of the Guardian Express because it was mainly sports and entertainment. So it was something I would read. So when we got locked up, I just thought, you know what, instead of me sitting at home every day, let me just go there and see if there's anything I can do. So 1987, I walked into the Guardian in a sort of shout out to the Guardian staff. Then I walked in, and the Guardian is a company that owns like 6 publications. So they have the Guardian, which is like their main daily. Yeah. They have the Sunday Guardian. They have the African Guardian, which is like the political one. They have the Guardian Express, which is the evening one on Sunday, every day in Lagos. Yeah. So I wanted to join the Guardian Express crew. So I just walked into their office, and they said, oh, that's the Guardian Express. I walked there, and they had a very, very charismatic editor then called Michel Obi. So I wanted to see Michel Obi. No appointment, no nothing. Right. And Ogadan, shout out Ogadan, the secretary then just said, wait till you find come. I said, I want to see Michel Obi. He said, you get an appointment. I said, no.
Was the sports?
Michel, I don't know. Yeah. Michel Obi now ended up being like a special assistant to the then sports minister after then.
Wow, okay.
But at the time, Michel Obi was like the guy. So he said, you get an appointment. I said, I don't get an appointment. He says, you can't go in.
You can't see the boss.
So I'm like, well, 1987, I was 19.
Wow.
So I while we're having that back and forth, you know.
1987,
behave yourself, Kenny. I will unplug your mic. So
1987, 19.
While we're having the argument, the door opens and Michel Obi comes out of his office. Yeah. And he's like, hey, guys, what's happening here? And I said, university been locked down. There's nothing to do. I just came here to see what I can learn. And he just pointed to one day. I said, go to that man over there. He'll tell you all you need to know. Wow. And I met a gentleman called Taiwo Akerele, who was the sub-editor for The Guardian at the time. So the guy just said, okay, no problem, you're here. And he's the sub-editor. So basically all the stories that go into The Guardian Express, he looks through them, approves. So he just says, sit down and says, what can you do? I said, anything. And he just gave me one of the scripts. I've always been good with languages. So I started looking through some, you know, and I had the whole day with him. So before the day was over, and I said, you know what? I'm going to attach you to the entertainment desk. So it attached me to a gentleman called Dokuo Mojola, who was running a column in the paper called Hotspots, strictly entertainment. Right. So when the guy came and the guy just said, okay, you know, Dokun will take you anything you need to. So as Dokun was walking in for his shift, they said, that's Abass. Abass will. So the guy says, so where you? I said, they closed university down. The guy said, well, you know what? I just came to sign off. I'm going to an event right now. Do you want to come with me?
Ooh.
Right. And he said, okay,
Opportunity means preparation, isn't it?
have you ever heard of the joint called Murphy's Burger? Murphy's Burger.
Yeah.
That was one of the first burger joints in Lagos. There was Terry's in Surulere, and then there's Murphy's Burger. And Murphy's Burger was launching that night. So he said, okay, come with me.
Right.
And he took me to Ikeja. You need to picture this, 19-year-old, all this stuff before now, I only read in newspapers. So now they're taking me to an event. So
take you to a place where you don't know.
So, and I had a burger for the first time in my life. First time in my life.
At 19.
First time.
Picture that.
So we got there, had everything, and when we're leaving, and the general trend in Nigeria is like when you go to certain events, they would have prepared a communique. They'll give to all media people. So you can use that communique to form your own story and add your beats. Right. So once we were done, the guy just said, okay, take the communique. And the guy goes, okay, so you're coming tomorrow? I said, yeah, it's okay. Write the story and bring the story tomorrow. Wow. And I just went and wrote my experience from that outing.
Wow, nice.
And it made the newspaper on Friday.
Like that?
Just like that. With my name, assisted by Abass Tijani. And at 19, at that point, people in Lagos now started saying, and of course, those who knew will come and say, are you using the same guy? It's me. And that was my start.
Wow.
And I started praying that this strike would not be over. I didn't want to go back to school. I was enjoying it. And what that did for me primarily was, because the column I was now contributing to now is called Hotspots.
Right.
Think of all the hotspots in Lagos. Peak Nightclub, Adenino Ogunsoya, Night Shift, Coliseum, all the hot venues. My friend Dokun would not have the chance to go most of those nights. But he said, no, if you can go, I'll just go there. And all I had to say was, I'm from The Guardian.
Wow.
That's all I had to say. Boom. I'm from The Guardian. Boom. They let you in, and I started meeting everybody. Now, in 87, 88, the biggest names on this. Today now, we are talking of your Burna Boys.
Yeah.
Back then, it was Sashina Peters.
Yeah.
Alex Zito, Alex O. Pastor Chris Okotie was before then, that generation. Majek Fashek.
Right.
Oh, you can't win.
Those were actually before then. But on the pop scene, those were the biggest names in Nigeria back then. And I was right in that mix. So I'll go to the club. The first time I went to Peak Nightclub, I was wearing trainers.
Wow.
And I remember getting to the door, and the security manager said, you can't go in.
It's still today.
The man said, you can't go in.
Trainers allowed today.
And then I showed him my badge from the guy. He said, okay, press. Now, they got to let me in. That's okay, you can go in, but stay in the DJ booth. And I stayed in the DJ booth all night. He actually helped me because then I met DJ Prince 2000, who was one of the hottest DJs in the whole of Lagos back then.
At the time.
So I would just sit in the booth with him. Peak Nightclub had one of the best, just like here. Unlike most booths where they just give you one, you go to clubs, they just give you one. Peak Nightclub had a proper room. So I would sit there with Prince 2000, and at that point, I just knew God don't butter my bread.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to do. So I started meeting everybody that was anybody on the entertainment scene.
Right.
So I'm talking about my Jack, and picture all the biggest names we have then. This were the guys then, and that was my introduction into this entertainment thing. And that was so, of course, we went back to school. Before we went back to school then, my monthly stipend in uni then was 150 naira.
For the whole semester?
No, for the month.
For the month.
150 naira for the month then. So what I started doing was crossword puzzles. Those are things I know how to do. Crossword puzzles, word search. Till today, I'm still a junkie for those things. But I know how to create them.
Yeah.
So I would create them and they would use it on the back page of the newspaper.
Right.
So I started doing that because as a freelancer then, I wasn't writing. Remember, I wasn't contributing many stories. But the night guy said, okay, you know what, you can do this thing now. Start doing it now. And for every one I did, they would give me 8 naira. So 5 slots for word search in a week.
Yeah.
40 naira. 5 slots for puzzle, 40 naira. That's 80 naira a week. So every month I was getting a check almost close to 400 naira.
Yeah.
Just doing word search then. Yeah. So when I had to go back to school now, I did enough to, I'll do 2 months. Bear in mind, I was on 150 a month from daddy. 150 a month. And I was on 400 naira. From the Guardian. So I started making good money at a very young age.
Wow.
I can't even start to tell you how significant that was in me as an incentive.
Yeah.
So by the time I finished, of course, I finished uni properly, and then now I was praying they would post me to Lagos. But they posted me to one village in Kano State.
Yeah.
I'm like, first I want to do orientation in Katsina.
Yeah.
And then that's okay, you have to now go and do. And when they send that, I said, me, I'm not going to this village. And I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it here on the podcast today. So, I'm not going to no village. I have asthma. So, and the way it worked back then is if you didn't want to go to where you were posted to, you would have to go to Abuja. Abuja was just a new city. At that time, Abuja was a new federal capital territory.
Right.
Yeah, I just moved from Lagos to Abuja. Yeah. So if you needed to change anything, you needed to go to Abuja. But you have to get clearance. You have to go to that school they posted you to originally first. To go. So I remember going there I went down to that village. As I got there, the lady said, I can't walk. They said, why? I said, I have asthma. I said, but we have very good doctors. I said, my own asthma. When my own asthma starts, it's crazy. Long and short, they gave me the clearance. I went to Abuja, got that thing, did my 1 year at Abuja, and then came back to Lagos, and then they officially employed me.
Right.
In 1990, when I was done as a political writer, because that's what I have my bachelor's in political science.
Yeah.
But my what I was doing politics, but I was contributing to sports and entertainment.
Bros.
Tell me quickly, as we always say, so this is for young people, for people looking at it. This is you earning your stripes. This is you positioning yourself. This is you taking opportunity by the horn. This is you taking no for an answer and saying, you know what, I've got something. I'm gonna go for it. This is you earning skills, learning skills, adding value to yourself, and then when the opportunity came, you were prepared for it. So any young person is like, how am I gonna break through? Opportunity meets preparation in there. But you became a DJ. People were saying, you moved to other things that we know about.
I was always a DJ.
Right.
I was a DJ on campus. I was campus DJ at my university.
Right.
During my service year, I was a campus DJ all through. When you go for the National Youth Service Corps, you have a 1 month orientation.
Right.
All through the orientation period in Katsina, I was a DJ.
Right.
Then it was more of cassettes I had recorded, so that when events were happening, and that's still one of my best moments ever, I think that was one of the greatest things that's happened in Nigeria. If anyone's watching this and you need to go and do your youth service, take advantage of the National Youth Service.
Yeah.
Because I now met people from different parts of the country. Nigeria is a beautiful country.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country with so many people.
If you watch CNN, you'll be like,
no, trust me. And
don't watch CNN.
Going to the service year, was just meeting people from across Nigeria.
Yeah.
Do you know how many marriages that happened because of the service corps in Nigeria?
Yeah. I mean, by the way, the National Youth Service, it's a 1 year
mandatory service
1 year
in
program
Nigeria for
after completion of your
university degree or So it's and I never forget what happened there. So I spent that 1 year, came back to Lagos, and then they employed me formally. Now that I had my degree,
right,
and I did 1 year, but at some point then. A lot of my friends who had the opportunity were living in Nigeria. I was born in this country. I have a British passport. No, it wasn't. Me coming to the UK was not a brain drain.
Right.
Then it wasn't a brain drain. It was a fad. It was fashionable.
Right. Okay.
So I had friends. Most of them were born in the UK, born in the US. Just people are living to the US. So let me go come to the UK now.
Yeah.
No, I was earning good money. So money was not the problem.
Yeah.
But I just thought, let's do the UK. And when we came to the UK, the whole plan was come to UK, spend a few years, and go back to Nigeria. That was the original plan. So I was campus DJ. I was DJing. DJing was something I learned in Nigeria, but I never practiced professionally in Nigeria. But on arriving in the UK, my first job was at a place called Casey Jones in Paddington. And later, Burger King bought that Casey Jones. But if you go to Paddington Station, Paddington is the actual station then. There was all, you might think of, I don't want to be mentioning brands here, but there was Casey Jones and all the other brands. And that was my first job. I did that for 1 year. And since then, that is the only time, after I left The Guardian, that's the only time I worked for anybody else. Since 1992, I have worked for myself.
How did you make that move?
Before that, because that's a great question. But what was you like as a kid?
As a kid?
Yeah, what was
doing
like?
all that?
We're six. When you say kid, you mean as at the time?
As a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
No.
What was it like?
No, I can tell you what my parents told me and what I saw. So I come from a family of 6.
Right.
Do you get it? I'm the third of 6 children for my parents. So and we also. But the brother who follows me, Tokumbo, is the one I'm closest with. We did everything together, more or less. But we're 6 in our family. So everybody does their own thing. And a lot of the music thing that has now become the backbone of who I am as a person today was from my parents.
Right.
And not just music, Yoruba as well, the language. We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
And those are the things I learned. So coming over to the UK, I worked there for 1 year. Casey Jones. Even while I was there, no. I was flipping burgers, mate. Oh yeah, Casey Jones. I flipped for 1 year. So, but then I got a gig. I got a series of gigs because then I now got all my records. I started buying records because in Nigeria as a DJ, those things were back in the day. Today, right now, if you want to be a DJ, you can be a DJ in 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Well, not in the recent sense of it, YouTube, but you can get all your stuff in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Back then, it was still the years of vinyl.
Yeah.
A deck, one of the 1,200 decks, there was £1,200, SL 1200 back in the day. So it was but it wasn't that easy. But then I had the experience. So coming to the UK, I started doing that within that group for 1 year.
How did you find the African? Because obviously you started with the African community in like little DJ clubs. Being an African wasn't cool at one point, and because I remember that. I remember coming from America and I came here and it's like, okay.
What time did you remember this though? It cannot be my own time.
But it was like, first time I came to the UK, maybe just for a holiday, it was like 1998.
I will give you a better perspective.
It wasn't cool. I said, Ade, how can you be Ade and
I will give you a better perspective. So 1992, after doing 1 month, a year there, I started getting some gigs from the Nigerian community. Back in the day, house parties were the thing.
Right.
Today, now you want to do a party, you rent a hall. Yeah. But back then,
it was like
no hall. House parties are still the coolest things that ever happened. But the sad thing with house parties is 90% of the time you are breaking the law.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it, so let's say we're in this space right now. This space, as I'm looking at it, officially can take like 30 people. But for a Niger party, you guys are on the 9th floor. So picture this, right? Imagine you guys threw a party in 1991 for who you are right now. So hold on. So you throw a party, and this place officially can take. I'm looking at it right now. 30 people, nice, but you end up getting like 200 people. Yeah, so from the car park to people are hanging. That was what happened at most house parties. Yes. So when I started getting those parties at the end of the first year, and I was earning for 39 hours. 39 hours with Casey Jones, I was earning £130. Huh? But my first gig for 6 hours, I earned 150.
Wow, okay.
No brainer. Skills. Upskill yourself.
So by the time I did it for a while, first you still building the name, but it got to the point it got very, very regular, and I just thought, okay. I just called my man. I said, guy, Like I said, they were gonna. So they were thinking. I said, nah.
I quit.
I ain't doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So I quit in 1992, and from then till now, I've worked for myself. To today.
Right. So in my experience, I've experienced being black, not black, African has not been cool. Where people tend to like want to skew towards being in Jamaica. Everybody was jammo, and then you were pioneer of that shift of being African as being a proud African. No. How was it for you, even earlier before we came in? How did you manage that?
How did you guys get to bring Nigeria on the scene?
Well, how did you overcome that sort of, I suppose, the challenge of being an African and being regarded as not cool? I mean, you never saw it, but were you not? I mean,
well, the great thing is, and this is the power of entertainment, because when I came in 81 and 91, remember there were people already doing stuff in this country before I came in. There were Nigerian-run clubs in this country.
Really?
Yeah, in the 80s, there was the Pack. In the late 80s, the Pack in central London. Shout out to Dio Sholoye. Shout out to DJ King. Shout out to DJ Laddie.
Wow.
87, 88. Guys that were running stuff. And the trend back then is once there's one club that's raining, that's where everybody goes. Once there's a new club, everybody moves to the next one. That was the era. Today, right now, if people call me and say they want to go out at 6 a.m., I tell them, what do you want? Do you want mature? Do you want, But back then, it was one club.
One-way traffic.
And there's something about the Nigerian spirit. I need to tell everybody, and I'm saying this with a sense of modesty. Anywhere Nigerians go, they don't settle for average. What is happening? Where is the big place? So in 1991, 92, you had guys thinking, okay, back then there was Peter Stringfellows clubs. Those were like the club.
Yeah.
And Nigerians would say, okay, we'll go. We can't give you Friday. No, what can you give? We'll go Wednesday. No problem. We'll do Wednesday. But Stringfellows were there. So Nigerians were there. And I came in 91 pretty much just watching a lot of those stuff. So there were people that were running things in this town when we came in. Do you get it? But like everything in life, you have to grow. So when I went into the DJ thing in 1992, started with just your regular DJ events, kiddies parties, 150 going, and that 150 became 180, became 200 on Saturdays, and then at one point, I'm running one small venue somewhere. Can you come in? £100. So Friday is taken care of, Saturday is taken care of. And that is what made me comfortable for who I was. Now, my wife came in 1994. I imported my wife. I'm one of them. I imported my wife because I've been dating. I've been dating my wife for a while, but it's so much. I met her in 1990, and I just felt, and she went to the same university as I did. I went to collect my call-up letter. And she was coming as a jam bite. So there's a good 4-year gap between us. And who be this guy? We connected, and I thought, this is that's me, That's the one for me. And Nadia, my heart day. Yeah. So
marriage millionaire.
So the back then, but you talk about your question about the and you mentioned Jamaican.
Yeah.
And credit to who credit is giving, the Jamaicans were the first generation of black people that came with Windrush into this country. And shout out to them because they also had to deal with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
When Jamaicans were in this country and they came in 1957, there are many venues that would put up outside. No Irish.
No blacks, no dogs.
No blacks, no dogs. It happened in this country. In this country that we're talking about.
Yeah.
They were the first generation that had to deal with that.
Right.
So you get at times this little animosity between the Caribbean, not even Caribbean, mostly Jamaican and Nigerian. It's a power thing. Do you get it? And I just came back from Antigua. I don't know if I told you I was going. I just came back, and when you move in that circle with the Caribbean, you just realize how Peter Tosh said, it doesn't matter where you come from.
Right.
As long as you're a black man, you're an African.
You're African.
It doesn't. When you go to those places, you just start to see the similarities. And picture it, they took them out of us from slave trade and they had to build a life. And all this whole divide and rule that the West create, we need to rise above it and realize this: we are all one.
Right.
So, but back then, when in the UK, in the black circles, you are either Jamaican, and the Jamaicans were, if you didn't have a gold tooth,
and all that,
have dreadlocks, or spoke with patois, you are not acceptable. So they were Nigerians. There were some Nigerians that would grow dreadlocks. There were Nigerians you speak to, and in fact, they wouldn't even come to our events because we started doing events. And shout out to DJ KC, shout out to all the top promoters back then, in Nigeria. But we started doing stuff for us. We don't send anybody. We were doing
our own thing.
We were doing our own thing and bringing our people out.
Correct.
So, in full understand, now let's talk about radio. Even then, you had Choice FM. Owned by a Caribbean, and their African program was on what we call the graveyard shift.
Right.
You know what the graveyard shift is?
10 o'clock to...
It's midnight.
The late night shifts, where not a lot of people are listening. And
so some of those things is not necessarily, just like by nature we are competitive, So it's not like they had probably hated us or anything.
Correct.
But at times that's how. But there was clearly, a gap between the Nigerians and the Jamaicans. So because that competition also helped
drive.
You must understand that competition helped to understand that we have to push. So you had the Nigeria no go green now. Nigeria go push, anything. So back then we were doing our house parties, and a lot of Nigerians at one point wanted to get into radio. It wasn't easy, but Nigerians kept doing their own thing. So, like I said, for us generally, radio we couldn't get into. So radio, and you had Choice FM.
Right.
Shout out to Choice FM, which ultimately was sold to what we now call Capital Extra.
Okay.
But before then, we were doing our own thing.
DJ Abass,
man.
How have you married Nollywood and Afrobeats together? We see you in premieres. You see behind the scene, in front of the scene, back of the scene. That you're doing the most. How do you manage this capacity? And it's truly inspiring. But how do you do it? Now Afrobeats is all over the world. Netflix is on. Nollywood's on Netflix. You must take some credit for that. It must feel good.
Yeah. I'll take some credits. I'm not shy to take credits where I've sold.
We have credited.
But obviously, my journey started with music.
Yeah.
And then coming to the UK, you realize that there's certain elements of the culture that are not getting the same representation as music was getting, particularly in the UK. So I remember my first premiere was in 2007. And right now, the title skips my head, but was Hexcentrics. Ni to all always film. In 2007.
Turning Point.
Turning Point. Sorry, Kids. Thank you so much. At Sorry Kids, And from then on, what we realized is the same formula that was working for the music. So the same people that will come and listen to the music, you had a percentage of them that also love the movies.
Right.
But then you have to present the movies in a way that they would enjoy. So it's not just and shout out to Moses Babatokpe.
Yes.
Shout out to Kenen Paru. Shout out to Kenen Kwosa. And
biggest cinema chain in Africa.
These were guys that used to work at Odeon Cinema and moved over to Nigeria and now running the biggest, cinema. And but at the time, they linked up with me, and the whole plan was, okay, let's just we had movies coming out then, but people just didn't want to come out and go to the cinema and just sit down. Let's give them an experience. So the plan was, okay, let's create a red carpet experience for them. So they come in, we do the red carpet experience, they watch the movie, the stars would come in, and then we'll have a big after party. And that started in 2007. And that's like up till today. And that kind of like created. So some of those movies came into the UK now. We just don't do premieres. Some of them have become releases. So we have stuff like The Wedding Party 2. That's the biggest, highest earning, grossing series in the UK. We had like a Lonzo Nzeko's a movie as well that came into the UK. wrote
Anchor Baby.
Anchor Baby, Stella Money Boli,
Boli,
you know, and in that between then and now, we'll be able to build that. So that bridge, and think about it, really, it's a no-brainer. You know, music and movies really should be hand in hand.
True.
So while we're selling the very best of our music, you can also be working with elements in our music to have soundtracks for the movies. And that's the story about that.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, shout out to Wedding Party 1 DOP.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean?
In the building. In the building.
Just saying.
The guy who crafted
dropping the
all that-
sorbet juice.
all that money
making.
Did he tell you how much he made?
He
visually,
didn't tell us.
He didn't tell you.
intellectually.
We'll leave that one secret.
Same
The guy there, the guy there.
Shout
Yes.
Akwe, you
Always
know,
Akwe.
Hero's Diary is an hero.
Come on,
Someday.
man.
Indeed.
Someday he's got a hero
right.
on here, man.
And that's the connect, basically.
Listen.
That's so. DJ Abass, we've talked Nollywood now. Like I said, you see, Afrobeat is huge. It's taking over the world. There's a lot happening with music right now in Nigeria, Nigerian music.
West African music.
African music, that kind of stuff, you know, going all over the place. And I keep saying that there are a lot of people, this could not have happened to African music or Nigerian music in terms of this global dominance now, could not have happened without certain plugs in the West. People who
Carry the flag.
who carry that flag to another, to tip the flag to another level, whether it's the UK, in London, in US, in, you know, all these other places, Europe, and all of that. And it is impossible to talk about this journey, this you know, development and all, without mentioning the likes of DJ Abass. How's your role played in this, in making this happen and bringing it back into success? Because at the end of the day, Hero's Diary is about teaching younger people how this success happened. How have you been able to, in your own little way, help this change? And how can the younger person see what you've done and then to continue on to the generation?
I wish I could take all the credit, but I can't.
No.
Because everything is a process.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody played a role in the process. The sad thing about history at times is like a lot of people get left behind and not mentioned.
Oh, just to be clear, I haven't said you played the role.
No,
You played a huge part.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you listen to my conversation all through tonight, it's been talking about the process from my standpoint.
Yeah.
But then I talked about Ben TV.
Understand.
When we were on Ben TV, the show intro with DJ Abass, initially when we started, the plan was to be showcasing American videos. That was the plan. Come in, play American videos.
Because that's what people want to see at the time.
But at the time, MTV-based Africa had just come to Africa at the time.
And
And
all that.
really, how do you want to showcase American music and you don't have the content?
Yeah.
They own the content. They've got everything.
Yeah.
But if I need to speak with P Square, I know how to. I can call Jude right now. If I need to speak with the band, I know who to call back then. So what we were able to do was get in touch with all the top acts back in the time. And you need to, like I say, you need to go back into the time. At that time, Ben TV was the only black station on Sky. People would rush home on Wednesday nights. On when they will rush.
there.
This was before
Right
you can record on
Watch it.
Ben.
Yeah.
8 o'clock to watch.
Can't miss it.
Because what we used to do then was, when they come into the UK, we'll film them, and then we would go to Nigeria and do specials. And then come Grammy weekend, we'll go to America.
Hero's
There was
Diary.
the Grammy weekend, there's the Oscars weekend, and there's the Pan-African Film Festival, all within a 3-week cycle. So we'll go to America and we'll do all of that, we'll put it on TV. I remember there was a time we did a special on my show intro, and we just went to Nigeria, and we went into a restaurant in Nigeria, and we filmed ourselves eating Ebola. And a lady just called me and she was like, you know what, I've been in this country for 10 years, I've not been home. She broke down. I just have to go home. You need to picture then. Now we have social media and all those things.
it's instant.
Back then, that was the social media of the time.
Right.
And that was what started to bridge the gap. Do you get it? So in terms of how did all this come, so many people played the role. So we've talked about Ben TV. We had radio as well. We had Capital F, guys of like Abrantier.
Abrantier, shout out to JJ Abrantier.
And he was doing his own thing as well on Choice before he moved to Capital. He was and then we had people in TV, we had people in radio, DJs, promoters. There was a club we used to play. Once we start to play, if I started with African music from Congo used to be more popular in the clubs before Afrobeats.
Yeah, that's true. Correct.
Kofi Olomide, Awilo,
Logomba.
Back then, we played the music,
Magic System,
and it was the East African girls that would come and dance.
Ugandans.
Our Niger girls,
They were shy.
our Niger girls, where's all this you are playing? But then we didn't even have sessions. We just had 1 or 2 songs, and then it became like 20-minute sessions, and then it became like 30-minute sessions.
And then it became the session.
2003. We were the first, and I say it with all sense of modesty, that brought the first Afrobeats act to perform in the UK.
By the name?
Tony Tetwila and Tribesmen. 2003 at Ocean in Acne.
Yeah.
The following year,
we
had Idris Abdul Karim and Maintain and The Banj. 2004. So once you start to trace the trajectory, the UK, I always say the UK is London is the 37th state of Nigeria.
That's right. That's
100%.
right.
Any which way you look at it,
100%.
the UK, that term Afrobeats emerged in the UK.
Cool.
Right.
And when that term emerged, many people in Nigeria did not like it. It was like, oh, this people are copying Fela.
Yeah.
Today, that term is the biggest term that is actually showing glory to Fela.
Yeah.
But initially, nobody liked it. Just go and Google it.
Yeah.
It's like, are you UK people?
I was there.
But the problem was, the only way you can introduce any genre to any environment, it must have a title. So when we as DJs, even when we go on any of those platforms, even till today, want to load up our music, and they say, so what genre? We can. Most of them don't even have Afrobeat till today.
Yeah.
It was not the way.
Yeah.
So in understanding this journey, so many people play the role.
Right.
Even like the UK audience right now. Now we have Weezy selling out shows.
At the O2. Shout out.
Right behind us, right there.
Look at that.
You know, you heard that they sold out, 3 nights at the O2. Ashake selling, all those things happening. There's a journey to it.
London Stadium.
Now they're doing stadiums.
Bad boy.
And this is the unique position that UK occupy. UK, I'm talking about right now, occupies.
Yeah.
The UK is the capital. Outside of Nigeria.
Brilliant.
Do you get it?
DJ Abass, I'm going to move on quickly in there just to talk about two questions and then we're done. Your proudest moment, your proudest work. And then the final question we're going to ask is, who would you like to see on the show? It could be your black hero, and what question would you like to ask them? So your proudest one. Yes, the proudest moment.
My proudest moment. I evaluate my industry in moments, and I cannot pick one. There are so many. The most recent one is when Burna Boy announced his show at the London Stadium. That's a moment. It's a massive moment. It can fly over so many people's head. But that's a minimum 60,000 capacity setup.
Standard.
How many UK artists, forget Burna Boy, forget Afrobeats. Yeah. How many UK artists?
How many artists?
No, we live in the UK.
Yeah.
How many UK artists hold their events in stadiums? And just within a month of him announcing his own, Weezy announced his own at the Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah.
We're talking 60 to 70, 80,000 capacity.
Yeah.
We must not lose sight of those moments. There are so many moments. When the Banji's
the one they did with
no, not Ngolo.
Yeah, Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist. When Oliver Twist made the list for the New Year's thing at Trafalgar Square, that was a moment. We keep having this, and these moments will keep coming. We need to keep recognizing those moments. A lot of those moments happen in the UK. Why the UK? I always say the UK is the 37th state of Nigeria. in terms of assessing how the world is taking on our music, we start with the UK.
That's right.
How has it been accepted?
I'm trying to make Docklands
in the UK.
Docklands, the home and Nollywood and Afrobeat. That's
Not yet. No, not just yet.
Oh, we're trying it. We're trying it. We'll be there.
No, so you need to be able to analyze those moments,
Right.
and those moments vary from individual. I am talking as somebody from my generation, which is old school. But then think about the generation right now. Who are the people going to Whiskey's concerts?
Well,
The
our kids.
overwhelming majority are under 20.
That's right.
They're the teeny boppers.
Yeah. Right.
You know, for you to be able to sell out those shows, and these are teeny boppers, mostly who were born in this country,
That's right.
and have been able to imbibe our culture through music, fashion, music, food, and dance.
That's right.
So never ever forget that. And this is the special role that the UK plays,
So good.
apart from anywhere else in the world. So in selling what we now call Afrobeats, it leaves Nigeria, but it lands somewhere else before it spreads to the rest of the world. So, and I need to have a very, very quick mention for the likes of, shout out to Rema.
Yeah.
Rema's video right now, Calm Down,
Calm down.
Selena Gomez.
is the most viewed video for Afrobeats on video. 358
On YouTube.
million
On YouTube.
on YouTube as at the last time I checked.
Right.
The
Shout out.
one next to it is CK.
The one
Love
Tinty.
Wantinti, 356.
Wow.
You need
really?
to understand the dynamics of those numbers.
Wow, I haven't had a look at that.
No, you need to understand the dynamics of those numbers when we're having these conversations.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when I try to tell a lot of people how this thing has developed, we need to be critical in our thinking
Right.
and how we understand those things.
But DJ Abass,
I'm possibly put gatekeeper. For me, I'm for gatekeepers, but that's another conversation in terms of like you need to protect what you have. Otherwise, if it's free for all, then you got a problem that our forefathers had. They never protected anything, and then they got taken away and themselves as well. Like, oh, you don't know what you have. I'm gonna take your things, and I'm gonna enslave you with it. And I think that we're in that precarious position where, like. We are not realizing what we have, and everybody's coming in and contributing. But at some point, it's like, hang on a minute, it's free for all. Okay, I'm gonna own it, and you're gonna have to pay me to access it.
But that would happen as well. And if I can add very, very quickly to that as well.
Right.
And at times you see, and if you look at Calm Down, Selena Gomez came on board, and some Nigerians are like, what's she trying to? Why is she coming on
they're
board?
taking over.
But this is a lady that has almost 400 million people.
From South America.
This game is a numbers game.
Okay.
She has also played the role on where Calm Down has gotten to. Shout out to Rema. Started it. But those collaborations will come. And we must not start to see those collaborations as
a
bad
threat.
things. No, they are great things to have.
Okay.
There are people you go to any market now. You go to one market, who they run for this market. So I don't come with good product. I don't start. Who can I partner with that will make these things work? So Selena Gomez also, if you look at the growth, so that's why with events, with programs like this, we need to be, it's critical thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
How did this and that happen?
Evolve.
So Calm Down right now
Yeah.
has set a record for viewership on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Good. Finally, can I ask you who's your celebrity? We don't do crushes here. Who's your hero? And so okay, before we do that, our last guest, Smade, would ask you a question and they propose a question to you, like, what do you think of Smade? And then you're gonna then propose your own celebrity hero, and then what question you're gonna ask them. I'm gonna end at that for today.
So with Smade, I've known Smade for quite a while. If you look at the genealogy of life, I told you when I came into the UK. And when I came to the UK, there were people that I met in this country that were doing things. I started to build on what they did. Smade has built on what we did.
He said,
And it's taken it to the next level.
right.
It's about building all the time. And everybody...
What do you mean building? Like,
No, we're building. It's a build.
Capacity.
When you come in, we are foreigners in this country.
That's right.
Don't think for 1 second that you belong, really. You fight for your position.
right.
no matter what you have.
Right.
And you fight twice or thrice as hard as those who are on ground. That is life.
Right.
So we live in the UK. The Nigerian diaspora in the UK has been estimated from anything from 100,000 to 1 million. We don't know what the numbers are, but we're plenty for this country.
That's all.
But for you to remain where you are, you fight for it and you keep pushing. We don't do our bit, and we are still doing our bit. But the likes of Smith have also come in to take it to another
Elevated
level.
it. Right.
Now they're doing Afro Nation, which is the biggest Afrobeats festival across the world.
Standard.
And they need to be supported and protected.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And at some point, somebody else will come again.
Ah.
So even while we are competitive, we need to be sensible. We must never, ever, ever forget that. Because that element of divide and rule that they used to split us, some people fall for it.
Yeah.
We have to rise above that.
That's right.
So that is the space Spade occupies. And it's not just on Spade, there's also people in that market as well.
Yeah.
We must keep carrying ourselves along.
Celebrate
So
ourselves.
Celebrate ourselves.
Celebrate. So,
Support
which is why
ourselves.
this program is important.
Very important.
So
for us.
at times
Are you hearing?
we hear all these stories about jollof rice.
Ghana,
And,
King George.
No. We heard it. The jollof rice. It's actually a good story to have.
Yeah.
Because first we know more about ourselves. So we know that jollof rice is not from Nigeria or Ghana. It's actually from Gambia and Senegal.
Yeah.
That's standard.
But everybody else. So let's look at the bits that work. So in answering your question, in essence, Made right now, he's the man.
King's
Yeah.
made.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
DJ
But
Abass, you got 30 seconds and
you ain't
just
give me
to-
no
just to-
30
just to-
seconds. You ain't give me no 30 seconds.
He said 2 days.
You ain't give me no 30
You're on my show.
Yeah, go ahead.
He
I
said
give you
2 days.
DJ Abass. Yeah, on this show we give you 30 seconds.
Right.
I will give you 1 second answer.
For the 30 seconds. Speak to that young African.
30 years from now.
That young guy
young girl.
in UK, young girl, young guy, young girl. I don't know what else there is these days.
Behave yourself.
But anyway, in Africa, in UK, in America, in the whole part of the world, this melanin-skinned young person that's listening to things that we are saying right now, how can they achieve or attain to this level that we're talking about? We're right behind us is the O2 Arena, where the Wizkids and the Burna Boys and the Davidos and all this have performed. How can these young people attain, based on your experience and everything you've gone through, how can they attain to this level?
And it's any form of success. It could be academical, it could be technological, it could be any form of success.
Yeah.
The first thing is to first believe in what you're doing and
Believe.
yourself. And that's the single most important thing. Not everybody will have the opportunity of having mentors. But if I look at Kenny, I look at D1, and you think back to you, there was always something that you've always liked. Maybe people close to you did not like it, but you enjoyed it, and you stood with it. You have to have that belief and sense of purpose. That is the first. And once you can have that, stay with it. We're 8 billion people on this planet.
That's right.
8 billion on this planet. And every single person has a purpose. The greatest prayer we have is that we are able to discover our purpose. Not everybody on planet Earth will discover their purpose.
True.
So once you find your purpose, and I'm going to step back a bit. Your purpose is not
30
necessarily.
seconds.
No, calm down. Your purpose is not tied to money. Your purpose is not tied to money.
Right.
Your purpose is tied to what makes you happy innately. And the moment you discover that, stay with it, because on the long run, it always works.
Thank you so much. So anyone that you would like to see on the show, and what question do you have for that person? We'll call it, this is all about heroes. Everyone that's going to come on this show is going to be in terms of we're celebrating them because they are a national treasure. They are a hero. They're carrying the flag. They're doing something amazing for decades. Generation is going to come afterwards because people that worked before us, we were so privileged to be having a conversation with you because you We were in diapers.
You're not bros.
You were in diapers when you're doing this thing. So to be sitting there around the table with you is such a huge privilege. And hopefully someday we're gonna be sitting around the table with the kids who are in diapers and talking about.
Sure.
I remember I watched you 25 years ago. What message? Who's your hero, and what question do you have for that person? And we'll finish on that.
I have a lot of heroes.
One person.
No, I have a lot of heroes, and people who have done so much. As we're building. But if there's one person I'd like you to invite is Ayo Shonaya.
Jeez.
And I'll tell you why.
So what question are you going to ask Ayo?
My sojourn that took me away from DJing
into filmmaking,
into the screen was Ayo. And now he's made perhaps one of the most and I have to word this very carefully. He's made one of the biggest reference points for Afrobeats right now.
Blueprint.
Afrobeats.
And that's visible to the world.
On Netflix.
So I think it's important to invite him to come on.
Yeah.
All right.
And talk about his experience, you know, and going, because remember, we must also keep talking about going
forward.
Legacy.
It's a journey. Yeah. This thing is a marathon.
Yeah.
We are not Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
We are Gabriel Selassie. So it's what next? So that's something that I'd like you guys to bring on board, and we can make that happen.
And then what question would you like to ask Ayo if you come on board?
That's it. Just to come and tell a
So
story.
what question will you like to
ask
ask
him
Ayo?
personally?
We need one question that you'd really love to ask Ayo Shonaya.
Can I email it to you later?
Hey,
I am in the spirit.
You have to.
I am in the spirit, literally.
You got to say it. You have to say it. It's a tradition.
Bro, do you
of the
need
show.
to drink more?
It's a tradition. We appreciate it can be difficult putting you in the spotlight, but we want to carry that tradition of the show to ask that question.
Where he sees the industry in the next decade.
Okay. All right, Shonaya.
Ayo.
There you go.
Get ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you very much, DJ Abass, the legend, for a show of HD.
Entertainment.
Thank you for taking us to the...
On to the next episode, Hero's Diary. We're signing off. Peace. All right, cool.
Yeah, no, bro.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
African Army Special Final Day with the great King Sunny Ade. It's been 2 years coming, and finally we got the exclusive. Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you. Nice to see you.
Hey, how you doing? I'm DJ Abass.
Welcome back for the program For the Record with DJ Abass.
And welcome to DJ A's Niger Music Fest.
And we're back, the very, very first edition for the year. And of course, we're starting with a very, very bumper edition.
The very best and celebration of Nigerian music worldwide on October 1st, Friday at VBO Lounge.
As you know, we ended big and we're starting big. We have the biggest thing to come out of Africa. He's in the studio with us, Davido, and it's a pleasure to have him in the building. In terms of awards, you had 96 nominations and 44 wins. How you do? Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir.
Everybody asks the question. It's not just, I'm sure it's not about the money any longer, and it's not about name, but where do you get the inspiration to perform now?
Well, let's thank God. It's Almighty God that gave me the inspiration. And also you, my admirers, my fans, and my lovers, normally give me that kind of inspiration.
I was in New York a few months ago, and Ethan Fall were on non-stop.
Yeah, it's playlisted there. It's actually like he's on A-list rotation.
No, non-stop, and with your song with A Boogie as well.
Yeah, with A Boogie.
So every 5-10 minutes, it's like, and that sold me on, and it was also on WLS as well, non-stop. Stations that are not really typical, they're not typical African beat stations. We're playing it.
Would there be anybody in the new generation that would have that tenacity, like artists in your generation have, to take it to the next level?
I pray, and I continue to pray, because I don't want it to be stopped on with my generation. But I believe that a lot of young folks are into the music now. I would say I'm not the first who, I'm not the one that started it. I was one of the many. Okay. My ancestors started it.
Yeah, but being an African artist, because of how Africans support their people, no matter where in the world, you can actually do a show anywhere in the world.
You've proven that, obviously.
No, apart from me, like even I'll do big shows anywhere in the world, big, massive crowd. But if you have a gathering of 50 people, it's still a show, right?
Of course.
So I'm saying
everywhere
like,
2 or 3 are gathered now.
It's still a show. So if you think about it, almost all the artists in Nigeria, whether D-list, C-list, B-list,